Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said very clearly that the hostages are not the priority. Ben-Gvir has said a similar line. Orit Struk, the settlements minister, said recently, we have to go into every area even if the hostages die. Taking back Gaza, destroying Gaza, cleansing Gaza. To quote the Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister of Israel, that is the goal. If you carry on with this war, it doesn't make the hostages any safe. That's what the Israeli military chief of staff is saying.
I have a few clips for us to look at of Mehdi Hasan on Piers Morgan, again debating the ongoing genocide in Gaza at the hands of Israel. If you can, take a moment, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton, gives us a boost in the algorithm, and let's get right to the debate.
This idea that the war ends tomorrow if the hostages are released has been is a nonsense proposition that a lot of Israeli military officials no longer believe in. The deal is on the table. Hamas has now accepted Netanyahu's terms of a partial release deal, which they didn't want to accept. But the Israelis said that was our idea. And now Israel's own military chief of staff, Piers, is telling Netanyahu, take the deal. If you carry on with this war, it doesn't make the hostages any safe. That's what the Israeli military chief of staff is saying. We know that time and time again, there has been an option to end this war, have a complete hostage release, have a permanent ceasefire, not a temporary one, and yet the Israelis don't want to do it. Netanyahu has made it very clear, if they release the hostages, we're still going into Gaza City. We're still taking this over. As you pointed out, Smotrich and many other ministers have said that it doesn't matter, the hostages are not the priority. Taking back Gaza, destroying Gaza, cleansing Gaza. To quote the Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister of Israel, that is the goal.
This is bang on, and a lot of it comes down to Netanyahu at this point. Him ending this almost definitely means that he loses power in Israel. It also means he almost definitely gets tried for multiple war crimes, a plausible case of genocide maybe, and of course, he's drawn the global ire for his actions against innocent civilians, women and children alike. So like, where could he even go when he leaves power? He's not even very popular within Israel these days. So prolonging it becomes an act of survival almost for him, which is dastardly for everyone else because it prolongs this a lot longer. But don't mistake me here. Like, I don't want to make excuses. It's also part of a larger goal that has multiple facets and multiple people in the Israeli government supporting it, which is just this worldview of like the dehumanization of Arabs, seeing them as lesser, the rightful ownership of Gaza being theirs. This is all you need to realize all you need is a strategy to take it back without the world revolting. And that's what we're seeing playing out before our eyes right now. October the 7th is that strategy. It's not, obviously, I'm not saying they did October the 7th to do this, but they realized pretty quickly that October the 7th could be a justification to get away with all of it. And that's why they're continuing to push 2 years later.
Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said very clearly that the hostages are not the priority. Ben-Gvir has said a similar line. Orit Struk, the settlements minister, said recently, we have to go into every area even if the hostages die, even if they're unsafe, we have to do it. They have made that very clear. Gallant, the former defense minister, said Netanyahu was sacrificing the hostages. The hostages' families went to the homes of the Israeli cabinet just 9 days ago. They protested outside the government's homes and said, you are sacrificing our children on the altar of eternal war. Those are the words of the hostages' families, not the former IDF spokesman, Piers, who you brought on to lie on behalf of the Israeli military. So many lies he told there in that statement that he just gave this long rant. He doesn't want me to speak now, obviously, because the fact checks will hurt him. Again and again, they have said the hostages are not the priority. And this idea of fringe figures, as you said, Piers, Bezalel Smotrich is the finance minister. He said in May of this year, we are disassembling Gaza. We are turning it into piles of rubble. We are destroying the Gaza Strip.
And why this is important, why you always hear Mehdi bringing these things up, is because genocide is a crime of intent. It's about having the intent to erase a group and your actions somewhat matching up to that intent, either in whole or in part. Now, proving this is difficult because obviously intent, you're not going to have people claiming their intent in the open, and it's multifaceted. But direct quotes from those in leadership positions are a great starting point, as well as the sheer totality of damage. It's hard to say you stumbled upon killing 20,000 children. It was all an accident without any intent to do so. That is just, it's a hard case to make. Cultural damage is also another big one, a big indicator of evidence. Raphael Lemkin, the person who coined the genocide term, just thought that cultural genocide was its own thing. That didn't get into the Genocide Convention, but the ICC does use it as evidence of intent. This it shows like the intent to wipe the group's imprint from the world, like their cultural legacy, right? Of which Israel has done to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in Gaza, the oldest churches, the oldest grave sites, and more. I think anyone denying intent is delusional or paid, and this man's probably both.
This is the same Israeli military that has committed multiple war crimes. I mean, Jonathan talked earlier about, what the purpose of combat is. He said he was a proud IDF man. He's proudly part of a military that last week bombed a hospital not once, but twice. A double tap strike, according to CNN, triple tap strike, killing emergency responders, journalists, aid workers in front of our eyes. That is his glorious military. It's an Israeli military which, according to Dr. Nick Maynard, Piers, who you know, British doctor, I interviewed him last month, he said he treated Palestinian teenagers in his hospital in Gaza over the summer who were shot in the testicles, multiple children shot in the testicles by Jonathan's military, the same military that killed 15 paramedics
Maybe
in
they were
April
shot
and then
by
just buried
Hamas,
them
Mehdi.
with their ambulances in the sand. They were buried in the sand by the Israeli military in April. They lied, the Israelis. They said, oh, the lights were off. We didn't know who they were. Hamas were firing. Turned out all to be a lie. You know what the Israelis did, Piers? They fired the deputy commander. That's it. Nobody went to prison. No one was charged. They murdered 15 people. That's the military that Jonathan's come to defend.
Again, I feel like a broken record, but he is spot on. There's been multiple doctors. We have spoken with, I think, 4 or 5 doctors, if you've been on the channel for a long time, that have accounts of children shot in the head, in the chest. We had a panel of 4 doctors on at once. Every one of them said they had saw dozens of cases. They had all been there separately, had no interaction with each other. We have journalist accounts. We have witness accounts. Anyone who can get in pretty much and has made it out alive has damn near said that this is something they have witnessed on a systemic level. But you still have clowns like this guy saying, oh, but what if it's all Hamas? You know, Israel lights up Palestinians at food aid trucks and it's, well, what if it's Hamas? They're shooting children and it's, what if it's Hamas? As if this idea that Israel is like this pure army who has done no wrong, even though we have videos of the contrary, while Hamas is the one going through this to the extent of killing its own people to frame them to the numbers of 60,000, as if that's even plausible. And they're continuing to do it as Israel, like none of the pressure mounted against Israel has been successful. They're like, well, fuck it, we'll just kill more then, right? Let alone that they would even think this is a good strategy for their own side. Like, and I'm not, obviously I get that this is a thing that happens in small numbers. The idea though, that this would carry on for 2 years, 60,000 dead with no progress made. And they're still like, let's kill more of our civilians. I mean, at this point, people are just revealing their characters on an issue that I think will draw a line that people will never be able to cross again.